Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. Today I got a couple 380s on the table. I've got the Sig Sauer P365-380 and I've got the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0. Please don't forget to check out our website. Go to our affiliates page. You'll find discount codes for things like Mantis Axe and Core belts. Link to that cool little bore light that we use for lighting up the barrels. Use those links. It will often save you money, never will cost you any additional money, and helps the channel. And please consider supporting the channel on Player, formerly Utreon, where we can do some types of videos that are no longer allowed on YouTube. Both of these, as I mentioned, are chambered in 380. Both of these are very small, but unlike most of the 380s in this size category, they actually have some capacity. Both of them have a flush mag capacity of 10 rounds and an extended mag capacity of 12 rounds. So when it comes to capacity, they're equal. This is a territory. The 380s, small 380s, fit on your hand size 380s, that until recently really didn't have a lot of good options. There were good options. There was the Ruger LCP, which is of course even smaller than any of these, but for the most part there really weren't any really good options in this territory. And these make good backup guns. They make good ankle guns. There is a place in the world for these. But generally, things like this would have 6 or 7 round capacity. And, that's kind of inadequate. So like the Micro 9 category that's come out, like the Hellcat and P365, the regular 9mm 365 that extend the capacity in small guns, these guns do it with 380. And they do it with that stack and a half mechanism that the others do. At the top, it's a single stack, but at the lower part of the magazine, it's a double stack. And they're able to retain noticeably thin guns. The Bodyguard 380 is the thinnest at 0.88, and the P365 is only a hair bigger at 1.0. So from a width perspective, the Bodyguard's just a little bit smaller, but not massively. From a weight perspective, the Bodyguard wins that as well at 11.4 ounces versus 15.7 for the P380. I said P380, I meant to say P365-380. I'll just call it the P365 for the rest of the video. That'll make it easy. From a height perspective, I'm going to set them side by side with their flush mags. The Bodyguard is a hair shorter overall. It's a little bit taller at the back, and the Sig's a little taller at the front, but it's 4.0 for the Bodyguard and 4.2 for the Sig. It's not going to make a huge difference. It's a small enough difference that it really won't matter. And length is similarly close. The P365 is a little bit longer at 5.8 inches, but it has a 3.1 inch barrel versus the Bodyguard, which is a 2.75 inch barrel and an overall length of 5.5. So there's differences. I would say that the Bodyguard is the lightest and smallest of the two, but as you can see, it's not the type of difference that's going to choose one over the other. Both of these have been reliable. They went through a break-in period, but I give all small guns a break-in period. Since that, they've been just dead reliable. They just work. I will say that the advantage from a sights perspective goes to the P365 because it has 3-dot night sights. Now you're looking at this and saying, well, this got them too. Well, these are XS sights, and I put these on. We'll put a link to the video to these sights if you want to see it. The rear sight on the stock sight is black, and I'm not a fan of blackout sights. And I did find this to be a little bit difficult to shoot well. I could do it, but I had to work for it. The P365 with the better sights was easier to do that. And the P365 also has an advantage of being optics ready. The Bodyguard is not. So there's a couple advantages to the P365 over the Bodyguard when it comes to sighting, the ability to see. The Bodyguard does not have a Picatinny rail, and that's a disadvantage. You'd have to go with like a trigger guard laser or something like that. The P365 has a rail, but it's a Sig rail. So only devices that are meant for the Sig rail will be mountable. It's not a standard Picatinny rail that'll take any device. So even though this does have a rail, I don't see that as a particular advantage over the Bodyguard because both of them require specialized devices to work with it. This, Sig rail, and this something that would mount around the trigger guard. you're probably more likely to find Sig rail things right away that will fit this than you would to fit this. But you know, like you look at the Glocks, the little Glock single stacks and the Glock subcompacts, they've had trigger guard lasers for a while, and there's companies that make them. If they haven't already got one out for this, it probably won't be that long before they do. From a pricing perspective, they're close. I'm seeing this version of the P365 around the 470 territory, and I'm seeing the Bodyguard around 400. So the Bodyguard definitely comes in a little less expensive. SIGs do often tend to be a little more expensive. Not a break the bank kind of difference, but it is a difference that may influence you depending on the budget you've got. Magazines also for the SIG sometimes tend to be a little more expensive. Ergonomically, they're similar. They both have front and rear serrations. The Bodyguard has a little bit of a lip at the back. It's not really pronounced, but it just sticks out just a hair, and it's fairly easy to get a hold of. The SIG, they're continuous all the way through, but it's still easy to get a hold of. They got magazines in them, so that's why they lock back. But I would say that neither one is really drastically lighter than the other. The Bodyguard is a little harder to get a full grip on just because it slides a little bit smaller. There's a little less real estate to get. But overall, they're pretty much functional the same. The triggers on them are different in that SIG doesn't use the inertial toggle. It does have all the internal drop safeties, but it doesn't use the inertial toggle. And the Bodyguard uses the inertial toggle and has a flatty trigger versus a curved trigger. It also has the internal drop safety, so both of these are designed to be drop safe. Neither have replaceable back straps, and both of them have usable texturing. The SIG texturing is a little bit more aggressive, but neither one of these are going to beat you up. They're, other than the fact that they're small and thin, which can make it a little harder to get a good grip on them and hold them, they do tend to stay put in your hands, and 380 doesn't have noticeable recoil. There's a few patches on the Bodyguard that for locating that aren't present on the SIG, but again, not a huge difference. So let's demonstrate the triggers. Minimal take up. Really nice, light, short, crisp break. Reset is decent. Pretty much all of the travel, but it's short overall travel. A little bit of take up to get back on the wall, and then another light, crisp break. It's a nice trigger in the Bodyguard, which is interesting because when the Bodyguard first came out, the original 1.0 version of it, it had what I would say probably is the most hideous trigger of every gun that I've ever picked up in my entire life, and it's evolved into actually a very nice trigger. So now we'll do the P365. Similar take up. A little bit longer wall. It's not quite as short and crisp. It's just a little bit longer. It's about equally light. Similar reset, except you're right on the wall. Notice I'm right there on the wall, and now I'm pulling through that a little bit longer wall, and then a nice break. It's a nice trigger. It's different. If you like a defined wall, short, crisp, almost instantaneous break, the Bodyguard's going to be a little bit better. If you like a little bit softer wall, then the SIG is going to do it for you. But I will say, at the range, neither one of these would the trigger make the decision point on it. I wouldn't discard or choose one of these or the other over the trigger. This one has no ambi features, but it has the similar styling on the other side. P365, same thing, no ambi features. But you don't usually get a lot of those extra things on these super small guns. They're trying to go for light, small, fit in your pocket, mount on your ankle. These are the type of guns you tend to carry either as a backup or when you have no other choice that would actually suit it, so the other choice is going unarmed. So I like the fact that guns like this exist because it allows you to not have that situation where, let's say I'm dressed up, suit, whatever, I find myself in a position of just not being able to carry. Things like this prevent that situation from occurring. So the last thing I want to do is I do want to show them with the larger mags. So as I had mentioned previously, both of these have a 12-round magazine available, a little bit of an extender on it. Both of them integrate it well with the grip, and both of them result in pretty much a full 3-finger grip. A little bit right on the edge with the bottom finger, but basically a full 3-finger grip. The Bodyguard seems to be a little bit closer to a full 3-finger, I think, because the curvature of this kind of comes into the finger, and I feel it a little bit more. But there is a the same height difference, that is just the angle of the mag. The front of the P365 is a little bit higher than the Bodyguard. At the back, the Bodyguard's a little higher. So the net's about the same. Overall, I don't think that's going to make a huge difference. It's just something to note. You know, laws of physics apply. If you want more rounds, it's going to take a little more space. But it is kind of amazing that they've managed to get 10 rounds into this space and then 12 into the extended space. Overall, I found both of these to be good guns. The Bodyguard 2.0 I do like versus what I really hated, the original one. And a lot of it will come down to, are you a Smith & Wesson guy or a P365 guy? Overall, if I had to choose between the two of these, I would pick the Sig, just because the optics ready, coming from the factory with better sights. These excess sights are really nice and were easy to add, but coming from the factory with the optics ready capability and nicer sights to start with, and overall I think I probably would go with the Sig of the two. But I think either one of them, hold them, handle them, try the triggers, look at the sights. Definitely consider the excess sights if you do get this one and are willing to spend a little bit more money to upgrade it. If you actually like the Bodyguard over the P365, that's an option available to you. But beyond that, my personal choice probably would be the P365. And then of course, if you've got the 380, then you've got the 9mm, you kind of got that consistent platform. On that, if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, click that link up there to be notified when we put out a new video, and check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Player, Rumble. We're pretty much everywhere. And thank you.